one sentence, how would I describe today? I'd describe today eventful, information-packed, and beneficial.
And I've made a major decision because of this conference. I'm going to get a hearing aid when I get back to Houston, Texas. All right? Because I'm sitting in the back and I can hear about half of what you guys are saying. I was nodding my head because I know it was good stuff. But I'm going to go to Costco when I get back in Houston and do what my wife wanted me to do 3 years ago. I turned 80 in November. And that means I need to do a few of the things I want to do now. And one of the things I want to do is make a difference in the fixed operation. I want to keep this going. I don't play golf. I got into this industry kind of late, so it's still new and fresh to me, okay? And that's what I want to do. And I guess about 3 months ago, no, about 6 months ago, I found mobile service. And I thought, this is new, this is exciting, this is going to change the game. And so I'm in, all right? And about 6 weeks ago, I studied a lot of the mobile service stuff. I've had time. Okay, I was laid off from Group 1 during COVID, and so I had some time to do some things, and I started studying mobile service. And about 6 weeks ago, I decided, you know what? I'm going to start an alliance that kind of combines all the stuff going on about mobile service and consolidates everything. Not a vendor type thing, but I'm going to call it an alliance. You can do that these days, you know? You kind of do things on your own and see if they work. So I did that. I got a lot of help from some of the people up here or down there, mainly, I hate that word vendor, but mainly from the, I call them suppliers or partners. Spiffy, Kirby, Busy Car, they've all helped me. And so we started. And actually, if I look at my card, it says, the Mobile Service Alliance, accelerating dealership adoption of mobile service. So that's what we're going to do, one day at a time. See if it works. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, I got to tell you, when you reach 80, if it rains, it rains. Okay? So we're going to try that, and it seems to be going pretty well so far. I've got a really good panel. They're going to kind of carry me here, because this is not something I do normally. So I'd like for the panel to introduce themselves, tell a little bit about your history in mobile service, and then we'll start with a few other things I've got in mind. Go.
I'm James in the office with the Sandy Sansing Chrysler Dodge Ram of Foley, Alabama. Probably 6 months in mobile service, and I had to scale back so I can staff people, buy more vans, equipment. It's definitely eye-opening to do something that we're already doing. Every one of us here has probably ordered something this week on Amazon or DoorDash. When you need a plumber, you call a plumber. You need a roofer, you call a roofer. And it's just a mindset. It's not really a tool, it's a strategy. So I'm glad to be part of it.
Joe Castelino, American Motors Group VP Fixed Operations. I'm third versions of Joe 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 into mobile. We did 1.0 during COVID and we failed miserably. We did second version of mobile service where we were like half in, half out. We weren't really doing oil changes, we were just doing tire rotations. We did okay with that. And we're about a year into like the full-blown mobile service where we're booked out 3 weeks in advance. They're full capacity. Yeah, put money on.
My name is Nick Tate. I'm a fixed director with Future Automotive Group in Northern California in the Sacramento area. With Future Ford Sacramento specifically, this is the second time we've dipped into mobile service. We were trying to do roadside service with big fleets, Tiger, during the 80 construction. And when those jobs fell off, the mobile service fell off. But we've come into it now with great help from Spiffy to be able to really strategize and schedule our appointments correctly, make sure we book our days full, and take full advantage of the offset money we get from Ford. So it's been able to really drive down our expenses as well as help inflate our gross. So it's been nothing but good times.
Thank you. Okay, so about 3 weeks ago, in preparation for this panel, I took a real good look at the attendee list. You know, I've noticed this afternoon, I haven't seen many people leave here. And that's a real compliment to the guys in Update Province. So it's really good to be here, because normally by this time, they're heading for the doors. It's been my experience. So I think that's a lot due to the respect of Update Province and also the subject matter. So about 3 weeks ago, I decided, well, let me do this. I saw a lot of people that had signed up for it. And I did some research, and I saw that they hadn't tried mobile service yet. So I thought, you know, I'm going to ask my assistant. I appointed my first assistant, by the way, 6 weeks ago, okay? It's ChatGPT. That's my major assistant, all right? Very cheap, easy to get into. I know just enough to use chat and nothing else. I'm not going to, what is it, George or Larry or something else. And I got with them and I said, okay, what are the 3 concerns for the undecided? And chat came back and it listed these 3 things. Delayed ROI concern. All right? Not ROI, ROI delay. In other words, this isn't going to really create quick money. Okay? The second concern was technician staffing. Now, this is ChatGPT. I have learned about ChatGPT. When I turned 80, I've been using chat for a while, and I'd always heard the chat tells you what you want to hear after it learns about you, okay? So I turned 80 and I queried ChatGPT and I said, okay, I just turned 80, what do you think? And it said, you've been past so many pitfalls already in your 60s and 70s. Relax and take it easy, okay? And I like that. So I went back to ChatGPT and I asked 3 concerns. The first one was a delayed ROI concern, the second one was a technician concern, and the third one was disruption concern. And what I've learned about decision makers in fixed operations is that 2 thoughts go through their head when you present them with a new opportunity. One is, what's this going to contribute to my bottom line? And the other is, what is this going to mess up that I just changed 6 weeks ago or 3 months ago? All right, what's it going to disrupt? So I think that third one, that disruption, as we're talking about change dynamics here, we're talking about culture change. Mary Laura likes to use behavior change. I like the word behavior, okay? Just as a sidebar, I'm 40 years in AA, and I can tell you, there's no greater change of behavior than AA, okay? And so I'm right on with the ChatGPT. So far, so good. I'm not going to fire them, or we'll keep them around. $15 a month. What can you live? So I'd like for the guys here to talk a little bit about those 3 things. Their experiences, their strength. They're still doing mobile. I talked to them earlier. They're going to keep doing mobile. Let's talk about the first one, and that is this demand, delayed ROI concern, all right? I'm afraid it's not going to deliver what I'm really used to, and that's what happened today and 30 days, okay? So share with me a little bit about that, your experience in that. Let's walk through it.
Well, starting out, I was a little nervous part of a smaller group. We have 12 stores, and the Ford store was already doing mobile. Of course, I'm in CDJR, and the owner says, hey, you need to get involved in this. Stellantis had a little bit of a push because they were trying to promote it. And there I was, my first month, and sure, let's be on board. I think the biggest return on investment portion that made me nervous was how was I going to make money that I wasn't making yesterday? And the first thing I looked at was the vendor that we signed with was Busy Car. They immediately put revenue not only in the shop but in the truck because we had no idea what we were doing to begin with. It was chaos. We were a little lucky because we had 12 stores. I could go do recalls at my Ford store. I could do recalls at my Chevrolet or Mazda or BMW store. So I had some idea of how I could make income. Signing the Busy Car, it was almost immediate after we got the integration and everything. I had customers that I haven't touched in 2-3 years, customers I've never seen before coming in the shop. That created an opportunity while I was in the shop. It also created opportunity out in the field when we were going to see that vehicle in service and do mobile service. It's not overnight. It is all about communication, which was mentioned in the last segment in parts. Communication is very important. There's a strategy. The more people that are involved in group text, group emails, teams, the better it runs. Because if one person doesn't talk or forgets to say something, takes a day off, gets sick, those types of things just bring it down. But it's also opportunity to create relationships that you didn't have. The plumbing company down the road with 10 units that wants you to come by Saturday. With me and Amazon distribution center with 283 vehicles. You have to rethink what you're doing. A lot of us are old school in the shop, thinking the old way. But you go home and you order something on Amazon, or you order something for lunch on DoorDash. That's technically mobile service, so it's working for a lot of other businesses, and it will work for dealerships also.
Yep. I might be a little long-winded with Jay. I'm Joe. I don't know what God bless you. We're good. So I'm on Kirby. I had a different experience. So as far as delayed ROI, yeah, I think I'd be here with Jay. I think Brian's going to say the same thing. We're all going to agree, yeah, there's a delay. Mine was maybe 6-8 weeks by the time you got the vehicle onboarded. I mean, there's always a learning curve. If anybody comes in and says, hey, you're going to make money right away, they're wrong. There's not one thing that we've all done here that has done that right away. But the cool thing is, in my experience, Kirby held my hand throughout the whole thing. And they walked me through it, and when things wouldn't work, or I'm talking about one of our stores here, and I'm like, hey, I can't get the traction. We changed our work truck. And here's something that we did that literally changed everything for us. We have an in-house prepaid maintenance, and so all those things expired. So we were just changing our word track, and we called these customers and said, hey, our mobile service happens to be in your area this week. Does this work? And we're seeing your mobile service, your service is going to expire. Well, that got the vehicle out there. And as the vehicle got out there, one of our reps happened to see it. And I didn't tell our factory rep that we were doing this. And so he calls me up and he goes, hey, the dealer down the street from the main airport is slow playing the Enterprise contract. And they're only doing 2 cars. Enterprise can't get these cars out here. I'm catching all sorts of flack from the factory in Detroit. Can you help? So we said, sure. So we sent our mobile unit out there. And what we didn't realize is, while we were doing the 30 cars that Enterprise was at, Hertz called us. And Hertz asked us if we could do the same thing. And when Hertz did the same thing, well then, I think it was Avis called. We did the same thing. And so 3 days in a row, we were at the same thing. Well, then they all passed our phone number along, and then all of a sudden we're running to the 3 major airports to where my own stores compete with another one of my own stores in their market 150 miles away. So yeah, there is delayed ROI, but is the juice worth the squeeze? Absolutely.
One of our campaigns we have coming up, in fact, we're going to start with the on-outs, is Discover Mobile. And I kind of patterned it after a gentleman I saw on a podcast who ran the Discover Boating campaign. All right, now there's 2 different industries that both move forward. motorized, all that. But what I've heard from a lot of the people I've talked to that are doing mobile is they discovered things that they never could have imagined they discovered. Well, I got to tell you, fixed operation, I don't see that we discover a lot that we haven't discovered already. And I think mobile is, I think it's inevitable, number one, and I like dealing with inevitable things, all right? And number two, I think there's just all kinds of mystery still with it that we still have yet to embark on. Yes, sir.
As far as the ROI goes, the first van we ordered came from Ford, and it was about 11 months delayed. So we had about 11 months to plan our strategy, how we were going to go forward, what we were going to do. And to this point, the Avis, Hertz, Enterprise, that's one of the things we wanted to focus on was our fleet accounts. Where can we find a lot of vehicles in one place to take care of them all at the same time? Because one of our biggest diversions to it was the drive time. You have a technician that you have to pay, and we're going to rack up the unapplied time moving from location A to location B. Okay, let's get rid of that problem. Let's go service a large group of vehicles in one location. So the only drive time he has is leaving the store and coming back to the store. The rest of his day is actually filled wrenching on vehicles. What kind of repairs can you do? I work at a Ford store. Thankfully, Ford is not shy about recalling a new vehicle every day, 3 times a day. So I have an abundance of recalls. And with those recalls, I'm able to set our days up with our mobile technicians at fleets. And then I can also start filling in now that I got another van from Spiffy, which showed up 3 months after I ordered. It was a great turnaround. Now I have a second van and I'm able to start bringing our customers in. And the ROI, yeah, great, I'm getting the recalls done. We all know recalls don't pay as much as they can, but it keeps me out in front of the customers. It keeps our name in front of them in between their service visits. Because as it stands right now, if you don't have a mobile van, when's the recall get done? More than likely, when a customer comes in for service, you check the VIN number on whatever manufacturing platform you have, and it says, oh, you have these recalls. You do it at the same time. So I'm able to kind of get in between those gaps. Increases my survey count. I'm getting more surveys. I'm getting better surveys because of it. And I'm keeping my name out there more frequently. So now when somebody does have a problem, they do need a repair, they're able to come in. Also, last thing, something we found great success with is we target low-mile customer cars. Because another one of our issues was, how are we going to be able to inspect the vehicles mobily? It's a real tough proposition because you have one technician, don't necessarily want to crawl in under a vehicle by himself, maybe the driveway's slanted, bad things can happen. Well, if you're under 60,000 miles, there's lower odds that there's a major problem with the vehicle. So I can go out, I can still inspect, I can still do the recalls or service work on the lower mile vehicles, which leaves my shop open for higher mileage vehicles. Doing that, I've increased my average vehicle miles from under 60 to 77,000 miles. So every time an advisor, you bet they're running to go check in the next car because on average, it's got 77K on it. And if you're an advisor worth their salt, you can make a pretty damn good living on 77,000 miles. So the advisors are happy. They're not worried about giving something away to mobile because they know what it's bringing in is going to be worth the squeeze.
We're booking 6 appointments a day, which is what our max capacity is for the mobile unit, for 7 days a week, 3 weeks out, which is the max our schedule allowed. I just ordered 5 units or 5 extra vehicles last week, and 5 might turn into 8 real quick. And that's literally because the car's just running around and people are seeing it. We had a customer who had the appointment, called his friend and said, hey, Stevens Creek Toyota's here and they're doing the mobile service here, full-fledged. Lady runs down to his house and says, well, I'm here, can you do mine too? Right? It's exactly what Brian said. There's intangibles that you get there. So ROI can be twofold because I called a handful of the customers, right? Our TLE Sport Toyota loyalty engagement, we're 104%. And I've called 3 of those customers. I try to call at least once a week, 3 customers. 100% of them said they would only do mobile because it was so convenient. So you talk about going places and customers that we are acquiring new customers for. I am not sending mailers, I'm not doing email blasts. It's literally one wrap, cars driving around, and people are gone.
I'm sure the marketing people were sad to hear that, but I think that's wonderful. I heard the head of the Chevrolet dealer council say something the other day. I'd like to know if any guys can comment on it. He was talking about something called load leveling. Okay, where what he found with mobile was balancing his service back, making them more efficient, driving more revenue from them. And I'd never heard that before. And to me, I thought that was ROI, okay? Because if you can start to balance between the long jobs, the jobs that are 4 hours, 5 hours plus, and the ones that are quick, I think you get a lot more balance, effectiveness. Anybody heard that term before?
I've heard of load leveling, and that's basically something that I really didn't think about it the first, second month that we were mobile service full-fledged on out in the field. But we went back, and load leveling is to me this. Your technicians in the shop, you want to return the max amount of hours. If you start looking at the waiters and the recalls that come in and the distractions going in the parts department, we're talking about tickets that can be done mobily, flash. How many parts are in your parts department? Okay, look at your special order rack in your parts department. You've got parts sitting in there that mobile van can go out and install. Maybe that customer hasn't come back. Maybe they have 7 kids and can't get to the dealership. There's so much opportunity to level the playing field by not disturbing your technician who needs to turn good hours, good jobs, those repairs, mainline stuff, and load that in your van. We did something also where we went back and looked at, of course this is a month or two in, we went back and looked at what the BDC was scheduling, QC'd the jobs that went into the shop, and looked and said, you know what, we scheduled that customer to come in the shop and we didn't present it mobily. We could have done that in 10 minutes in their driveway. We could have got that part out of the parts department. So we started going back, looking at the tickets that were going in, and we were gaining more work just by presenting it. So definitely want your technicians in your shop turning the right work out. You know, when you give them a waiter, you give them that recall, airbag recall for us is one of those things that you hand one out, and the technician rolls their eyes. Well, we developed that strategy to produce those in the van. Now we go out and do hundreds for Avis, Enterprise, Hertz. We're putting literally pallets of airbags in for those guys. We learned how to do it in the shop through training. Those aren't coming into the shop. Now our technicians are working on CP work, which that's your money right there. So that's what it means to me.
I set up our scheduler in an intuitive way, so when you call the BDC, it'll drop down what options we could do. So I'd set a certain option, like, hey, the mobile service is capable of an oil change, it's capable of this, it's capable of that. And what will end up happening is when somebody calls in or tries to book something, it'll drop down. And as you keep selecting, like, okay, I want an oil change, I want a tire rotation, I want to do this recall, it'll offer mobile. But the second I'm like, hey, it's got a diagnostic or something, it'll drop down. It'll drop out of that mobile. And that was something else that we did, speaking of what you were talking about, right? And I mean, Curtis, Kaylee, you guys were talking about unapplied time technicians walking back and forth. Exactly what Jay said, right? Like, the parts department is loading these things up. Our mobile unit's out at 7:15, 7:30 in the morning, gone, and they're not talking to anybody. They jump in the car, trust their, I mean, they're doing their spot check, like, okay, I've got my extra cabin filter, my extra pollen filter, my 2 bulbs and whatnot, but they're maybe in the parts department for 15 minutes, and then they're gone, and we don't see them again at the end of the day.
Dick, any comment?
Yeah, I think that the idea of that is something we kind of immediately ran into, just because, like I said, the biggest thing for us was our inspections. The more inspections we can do, the more opportunity I put in front of the advisors. And that's, at the end of the day, the only thing I ever promise them. So I'll give you an opportunity to make money. And by not shirking, but kind of pushing off to mobile, the low mileage, the recalls that take a half hour to do, now the advisors have a little bit more time. They have less paperwork to push through. They can spend their time focusing on their estimates, on what they have in front of them, on their upsells, and really take their time with it. And it helped improve our closing percentage tremendously. Last month, we had a 75% closing percentage on our main concerns and a 53% closing percentage on our failed recommendations. And that's because they have a little bit more time. It's not something that you're able to do for those guys a whole lot, is buy them some extra time. Generally, they're buying it for themselves because they're so overrun. But if you can take a couple hours a day off of their plate by having mobile do it, it makes the world up to them.
Yeah, thank you. We're right on time here, right on schedule. I want to thank these three gentlemen. I wish you would thank them too with a round of applause.